everybody! Look what day it is! Look what time it is! Look who it is! It's me! It's you! Here we are. Hi, I am Rich, and this is the Two Guys 2GT HomeLab Hour. That's what it is. It's been kind of a heck of a day. I see that the chat is it's just blowing up. It's just seriously blowing up. In fact, there's a little thingy on here. Where's the thingy at? Turn this on. Now you guys should see your chat messages on the screen. Ooh, technology. Anyway, how you guys been? Good. It's been busy for me. Let's get to our typical housekeeping that we do every time we start the show. Okay, so first things first. This is the Two Guys Tech 2GT HomeLab Hour, where we talk about HomeLab things. We talk about self-hosting. We talk about nerd stuff. We talk about stuff that I'm doing. And I want to talk about the stuff that you do too. If you have questions or anything that you're working on, or you've seen on the channel and you want to get opinions, or if you think you want to know what I think about VCF9, you're gonna be disappointed because I don't want to talk about VCF9 and Broadcom. But this is a chance to hang out with people like me and like you and talk, and the chat is just exploding. Cue the good music. Anyway, also, Brandon gives me 2 times to do this, so here's my first plug. My plug for the Discord. Two Guys Tech has this Discord that is open to everyone, and it's all about hanging out with people like you, like me. Just, it's a place to share the things you're working on, like ask questions, and hang out with just nerds like me. I hope you guys don't mind me using that term loosely, because I consider myself that. I'm a geek, nerd, whatever. Discord, thank you. Levix is in the Discord there. Yeah, our AMD Sky just got your 8 Dell R640 servers. AMD Sky, what are you going to do with them? Are they running AMD? Well, if they're 840s or 640s, they're Intels, right? So, anyway, so join the Discord. You can find the link in all the places we have links here on YouTube and whatnot. So, great place, totally free, no paywalls, no BS, none of that stuff. So. VCF9, AMD Sky's going VCF9. Pour one out for that guy too. Also, pour one out for Jason, who blew a power supply in his server and is waiting for a replacement. That's got to be a rough deal. I'm trying to hide my emojis. There we go. No subscriptions, no paywalls, nothing. Well, I mean, subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Anyway, what else? I don't do this alone. I got Brandon. He's producing it. BK, he's in the chat as well. He's turning the knobs. And so if this looks good, it's because of him. If it looks bad, it's because of me. And, all that good stuff. Oh, Terry Johnson's already talking about Hyper-V. It's not a normal show if there's not at least one Terry talking about Hyper-V's superiority over everything else, tongue-in-cheek as it may be. Right, Terry? Anyway, let's see. Yeah. Oh, and one last thing. I'm sorry, guys. One last thing. Consider this a follow-on to the Discord comment earlier. But like after the show, I go and hop in. Sometimes Brandon, sometimes John hops in. We hop in the Discord and just hang out with you guys and just like do an after show, kind of hang out. And last week's, man, oh man, I think the show was like relatively short, but the after show ran for a long time. We just talked about everything, technology, everything. So, I like to start these with a personal story. That's the thing I like to do. And so the thing I want to personally story about is not actually technology related, but it'll give you guys a good chance to make fun of me. And I'm all about being made fun of. So, I went to the Oregon Ren Fair, the Renaissance Fair. You would think a guy who likes D&D and, doing that kind of nerdy stuff would be someone who's been to a Renaissance Fair before. I've never been to a Renaissance Fair. I've always kind of wanted to, but I guess I just never really. You have to get in the car. You have to drive there. You got to find one, which actually they're pretty common, it seems. Anyway, I went to the Ren Fair, and look, I'm a technology professional during the day, YouTuber by night, but I'm a dad 24/7, and I took my 2 kids with me. And they thought it was, at least in the beginning, thought it was the dumbest thing ever. They were just like, I don't want to go. Why is it so hot outside? It was a relatively warm day for Oregon at the time. And they were just complaining about everything. So I'm trying to get them into this because I'm seeing all these people dressed up in their like cool costumes. And they're just like, giant turkey leg. You know what I'm talking about. This is a Ren Fair, people. This is what people do. And it's neat. I totally dig it. So there was a place that had a little tent. Everything's like a tent, right? There's no stands, there's tents. And they did hair braiding. And I walked up to the tent. I said to the lady, I'm like, she looks at me and she's like, I don't have any hair to braid. So there's no hair braiding going on for me. And they're braiding like little girls' hair and these really ornate like things. And I'm like, can you do this? Can you do anything here with this? Because I've been really on the fence. Yeah. So, and this was the result. And I think it is, that lady braided the sides down to things and braided the center down as well. And I thought it was awesome. So I showed it to Brandon, and you know what Brandon said to me? Brandon said, what did you call it, Brandon? You said I look like a budget Kratos, like a discount Kratos, like a PS1 Kratos, which is a little harsh. But that being said, if I throw this picture back up here, what do you guys think I look like? All I need is some face paint. Thank you. Exactly. Well, the thing is, look at me. And it's braided down the middle. I didn't even think I had enough beard hair for that. Incidentally, this is the longest that this beard's going to ever grow. It just doesn't naturally grow any longer than that, which is a bummer because I could have seen myself like this massive curtain of hair in front of me. It would have been kept, right? It would have been nice and trimmed and it would look more like but this is it. Anyway, discount Chris Viking. Okay, I'll take it. Viking sounds good, even though there's not one bit of real Scandinavian heritage in me. So I don't know if I can really, and I don't have blonde hair, which is kind of the stereotypic trope, right? So more of a Germanic background for me, Anyway, discount Kratos. I'm actually going to change my handle in Discord. It's going to go from 2GT Rich to discount Kratos. So budget Kratos. Sorry, it's budget Kratos. Yeah. Anyway, I have so much to talk with you guys about. And I figure we'll get to the interesting stuff, and then we'll get to like the thing I really want to talk about, which is I know I talked last week in depth, probably too much, about about FrankenNAS. And I just got to say, so here's the thing about FrankenNAS. The video is not going to do well. You guys will watch it, and I love you for it, and I appreciate it. But it's one of those things that's like when somebody makes this weird thing, it's like, I've made this abomination. Here it is. It's cursed. It has been so much fun to troubleshoot and design and build and stuff. And so I want to kind of show you, give behind the scenes. This is our time. This is your time and my time to go behind the scenes of FrankenNAS. Anyway, so I want to show you some things and just kind of get through this will all be in the video too. So but the video will be obviously more fleshed out, more actually like coordinated and organized, and other than the ramblings of a balded Viking bearded discount Kratos. Anyway, before we get to that though, I do want to talk about this news that just dropped this morning. And this is an homage. This is something I have to talk about because part of the history of the 2GT channel was, we used to do a lot in the beginning. Like in the beginning, I just wanted to make videos about like technology. I just wanted to do tech stuff, but YouTube is not very, it's not very accommodating for people who want to just have like this wide variety of like, this time I want to talk about a server. This time I want to talk about this. But we used to do a lot of videos about fans, and something happened that just in the news that was a surprise to me. And I'm going to have Brandon, I don't even have it in the thing. So that's how prepared I am. Let's go ahead and, preparing things is not my forte apparently today. So let me share the screen. Get this right now, and then hit share. Noctua, one of my personal favorite like fan makers. Also, I have a soft spot for Noctua and a soft spot for Arctic. Everybody else, like everyone else, there's some other really great companies making fans out there. Don't get me wrong, but like the Corsairs or the Thermal Takes, those are more like RGB grabs. But I throw that up on the screen, Brandon, because what AMD Sky said feels like that's my spirit animal right there. No, name an engineer who plans out anything. I do not. Anyway, Noctua. Noctua has released officially the NF 812x25 G2 Gen 2, the second generation of their NF 812x25. And no, I don't have them. No, I don't really plan on doing anything about them. But I did want, again, I want to talk about it because, you know, I have this soft spot. Way back in the day, I made a RGB version of this fan, which part of the world thought was horrible, and the other part of the world thought it was like amazing. Obviously, Noctua didn't care, which that's not their shtick. But I did just want to like look at it and compare it to what's changed. So here it is. Can I enhance? Can I click on this? Yes, enhance. So what do we see? Well, we see a dramatic blade design change. And if I go back over here, I can click on the old one. So there's the old one. Old one's got really nice sweeping curves in their, you know, the leading edge of the fan blades. Also, the hub is visible. That was like the trademark thing over these, was that they're Sterox plastic. You always had the hub through, and now that's covered up. They just filled it in. And these blades are quite dramatic and also very like chewy. Is that a right word to use? Would you call a fan's like the curve or the arc of a fan blade that's meant to just cut through the air chewy? Whatever. Heck, guys. Whatever. So it's cool to see a second generation fan. Like Noctua blew it, you know, they knocked it out of the park with the first generation of the NFA 12x25. And so can we get a side shot? No, we can't. They don't have a side shot on this one. Cool. That's a close-up. Look at that. And that's their Sterox plastic that always had this like interesting, these striations and patterns in it. But this guy, can we have another close-up of the blades? Give me a... Okay, that's the box. That's in a computer. Cool. Oh, they also released a version of this for the 40 millimeter at the same time, which is quite impressive. They did both. There you go. So they kind of a better angle view, but nice, like just looking aggressive, like talons. Just to through the air. You know what I'm saying? Moved all that. Yeah. So yeah, it's are these the right words to describe a PC fan? Aggressive, talons, chewy. No, the chewy one. Okay, I want to rescind the chewy one. Forgive me for that one. But yeah, it's interesting to see them cover up the fan hub, right? Because that's something that was just kind of like the thing that they did. But let's go look at some stats, because obviously stats are where the real money is. And they do provide a significant amount of statistical information to see how much it's really changed or improved over the older version. So specs, let's go here. Let's hit these specs as well. All right. So I care more about like, not that. So it's 20 centimeter plus a 30 centimeter extension cable. Cool. 1800 RPM and 15 with an LNA. LNA is just a resistor that's in line. They just give you like this. Well, I'll show you one in a second because I actually have one to show you guys. But so they, you know, an LNA is just a Aragorn, welcome. Anyway, static pressure. Let's see. So these things. Let's first start with the airflow. So airflow, 107.3 meters squared or cubed. Cubed an hour. Okay, so then we'll compare that to the old version, which they also have that listed in here as whale. And this one, airflow, so there, I mean, 107.3 versus 102.1. So very, 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 very close in terms of like actual regular airflow. Sorry, that thing keeps popping up there. But let's check noise, because that's 87.2, I'm sorry, excuse me, 22.5 dB of acoustic noise. 22.6. What is better about this? If it's slightly louder and moves just, I'm sorry, it's I have it backwards. It's 0.1 dB quieter than the other version, which they're such quiet fans anyway. I guess it should be said that that's quite impressive that you were just shaving off teeny weeny bits of it. But static pressure on the new one is 3.4 millimeters of H2O, and the old one is, where's static pressure? 2.34. So this thing produces more static pressure. This is a better fan, arguably. Static pressure, just for you non-nerds out there, is the fan's ability to push air into something that has resistance, right? That's like you're meeting resistance and you're forcing air through it. And so that's interesting. I'll buy some for my whatever project, but that's pretty cool. Anyway, tell me what you think of that, guys. I have to say that Noctua is one of those companies that you love them or hate them. They stick to their plan, right? They've got these like John said, replace the fan in my beer cooler with a Noctua fan. Horrible idea. Well, thanks for... don't do that then, guys. All right. So, yeah, that's quite an interesting thing to see Noctua and stuff. And again, I have a soft spot. 2GT used to work with Noctua a lot. They were one of those rare companies that if you're starting a YouTube channel, it's inside baseball, but if you're starting a YouTube channel and you want to like review computer parts, you get a hold of them and they're like, yes, absolutely. They're really, really one of those companies that leans in heavy on supporting the whole ecosystem and community. So they're really cool guys. So, and I've not visited them, but I have been in Austria before. So anyway, let's move on, shall we? Cause that's, what to say. I don't know how much more I can talk about fans. I want to talk about we'll talk about FrankenNAS, because FrankenNAS has been on my mind so much that I've literally spent all of that time since we saw each other last on this, like a week ago at this time when I was talking about it. It has been just in my head. Anyway, I am so close to being done. I want to show you guys first the case design. So as a rewind here, just so a little background. So obviously the NAB 9 Plus was a couple videos ago, and the NAB 9 Plus, oh yeah, I haven't shown it yet. We'll get to it in a second here, Brendan. The NAB 9 Plus, which is still right here, not plugged into anything. A nice little HomeLab box, and it's got that OcuLink port in the back. And I'm like, OcuLink port, I want to do something with that. Let's should do something with that. So I decided to build a NAS and went and bought all the parts, showed you guys the parts last week, and we actually put it together on camera, and it worked. This was like one of those rare moments when you're like, a product demonstration on stage actually worked. Anyway, now I've been spending all this time after getting it built, knowing it works, getting help from some people in the Discord. Sakura, who's not in the chat, I appreciate his help. He did quite a bit of help to get me to get the raid card set properly from basically raid mode into IT mode, JPod mode. So he's not here to take that credit, but he earned it. Anyway, so let's go ahead and throw up the case design as it is. Brandon, if you would please. So here's what I've got so far. And this is all modeled in Tinkercad. You guys have seen me use Tinkercad before. I love Tinkercad. It is free. And it's like baby's first CAD program, because it's not like a real parametric CAD where you have to like do things and stuff. Yeah, Levix, he is the master of storage. That's absolutely true. So let's talk about the features of this box that I built, because it looks really weird to me when I put this together and I see things. When you make something in Tinkercad, you make it something in a CAD program, and you're looking at it, you're like, that doesn't does that really gonna look like that? That looks dumb. Or when you try to make it like you think it should look without paying attention to the actual numbers, it comes through. I'll see what I can do. Shat Technologies. I can't help that. That man is a force to be reasoned with when it comes to the sheer amount of storage. So let's look at the features of the FrankenNAS's case, shall we? So first things I did was, I needed to figure out how to organize the little storage array, the 6-bay storage array, and the actual computer itself. And essentially what I came up with is it fit better with the storage array up front and the NAB 9 Plus below. And by the way, just as a teaser, I am going to show you in real life what it looks like so far. So you just have to bear with me on this one. Anyway, so it is Tinkercad. Tinkercad is this thing that if Autodesk took Tinkercad away, I don't know what I would do with myself. I'd be lost. I have to go back to square one and try to actually learn an actual parametric CAD program. So on the front of this thing, what did I do? Well, I created some airflow here because I created an airflow path because the RAID card gets ridiculously hot. And by the way, I'm printing this in PLA because I don't expect it to last. I'm not going to put it. Anyway, so I put a 120 mil fan grill in it so that I can mount a 120 mil fan. It's going to be a Noctua because I had one sitting on the shelf. And that way I have a direct air path across the RAID card, which we'll show here in a second. And again, so if we zoom in here, like this big square at the bottom here, you guys can see my mouse up, right? Okay. Enhance. This big square here, if we're looking down, is where the array sits. And it sits right flush with the front of the box. And then the NAB 9 Plus, which has got a curved kind of bezel in the front. I mean, the box it's not bezel, but it's curved. Kind of sits above. This big hole right here is for that little SFX power supply. And that's where it mounts. And then this big guy on the side here is actually for the power supply's airflow. There's a little like 90 millimeter fan in that SFX. And I didn't want to like, it doesn't need a grate because it's got a grate on it. You'll see here in a second. Zooming through here, we come inside. Hello, welcome to my little house. Let's come inside. All right, so the rest of this is just essentially a box. This guy I built right here, these are keystone jacks because I wanted to be able to get the ports on the back of the NAB 9 Plus out to the back of the box. That way I can actually still use the NAB 9 Plus's network connections. Like, jank aside, and and this whole thing is janky. Like, you know, on a hot day, this thing is going to turn into a puddle, right? It's just gonna liquefy. But like, Geek of all trades, yes, I was just extolling the beauty of Tinkercad. Everyone should go get it. Tinkercad.com. It's free. And then you can 3D print the things or laser cut the things or whatever. Anyway, this little block I built here is just keystones jacks because I have a... And the idea is that... I'm going to pull one out here so you can see it. Come on, keystone, come on. I essentially want 4 things to come out the back of this unit that connect to the NAB 9 Plus. One is going to be this little USB-C, which you probably can't see because the camera's not going to focus on it. Yeah, that's just a USB-C pass-through, just a good old-fashioned keystone. And the idea there is that the NAB 9 can be powered over PD power, so USB-C PD. So that's what I'll do instead of having the barrel connector plugged into it. So there, we got power pass-through, right? Then, of course, there are 2 ports for network because the NAB 9 Plus has 2 2.5 gig connections. And if I ever want to like prove to you guys that it can move 5 gig, there we go. So those little guys right there. You've seen these before. Everybody's seen one of these guys. So there's 2 of these couplers, these Cat5 Ethernet couplers that are keystoned for the center pieces. Then the far side of it, which I don't have out because it's actually in use at the moment, is a HDMI, full-size HDMI port, so that I can get to the thing. USB ports in the front for USB A's for doing that stuff. And so that's basically the box. The box looks like, you know, it's a box. This guy right here, this is... But Rich, how are you going to make these things sit in there? You just going to plop them in there and call it good and use movie magic? No, YouTube audience. I'm not going to do that. No, seriously, I'm not. I'm going to do it the right way. If you can do it the right way. One thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to hot glue the shit out of this. Duct tape. There you go. Sean Woods, welcome. I'm not going to duct tape. I'm not going to use adhesives of any sort, which is a callback. A long time ago, I like converted a broken Mac Classic into like a reusable Mac, and I used not Velcro. Look, guys, I like hot glue, but the internet hated me for using hot glue. They told me, and epoxy, hot glue and epoxy. I was a monster. I was dragged through the streets like that shame moment in Game of Thrones. They're just clanging a bell, yelling shame at me. So lag bolts, come on, you guys. Anyway, no, I'm gonna do something different here. But the thing is, I didn't come up with this. I didn't invent this stuff. Hold on. No, that's not the piece I want to show. Where's the piece? There it is. Let me show you this. The one thing that this guy right here, that you see, the computer part of it here, is that, with the case there, is that there's no lid on this, right? Because I didn't show it in the thing. But here's the box. It's pretty big. Now, I do use adhesive to keep the box together. I'm going to show you the box design in a minute. But the thing I wanted to show you, and let's see if I can do this. Let's see if I can do this. Boop, boop, boop. Brian, you want to bring up camera 2 or the other camera, please? Cool. So this is how, oh, come on. This guy right here, this little dude right here, that's a plastic inset. And how it works is you buy them. This is what they look like, the insets. And I've never worked with this, but I've seen people like professional people who make like stuff with 3D printing. So these guys, I'm gonna ignore that one, Geek of all trades. See if we can see this. So that's an inset. And this camera is not super. And this little guy here is just like, it's just meant to be melted into the plastic. Let's see if I can get a good. This is not going to focus. I'm sorry, guys. This camera's not going to work on like that. But they're neural metal on the side, and you heat it up, and you have a hole in your plastic already. Like I was practicing here. That's what this is. Practice before I work on the production version. And you heat it up with a soldering iron, and it just goes and slides in there. And then the plastic melts around the knurls, and it stays. And it's magnificent. By the way, this was super cheap. Got this off Amazon. No, I'm not shilling this because it was like $15 for all these, and then I can make plastic things for days. Anyway, so here's the box as it stands, and you'll notice this is one thing I want to show you. I'm using a tab means of putting this together, and I can pop this off here so you can see, because this is. So if I pop this off, boop. See my water bottle there, because I do drink water. Okay, this is not easy to do on camera. Forgive me. All right. There we go. Cool. So we can see here these tabs, right? And those tabs correspond with tabs on the box. And that's how this whole thing gets put together. So, and it just fell in there. That's cool. This was my test box. Okay, Brandon, back to the main screen. So, the insets, which I will, which will kind of show you in a second if I can, affect the RAID array and the PCIe to Oculink to PCIe interface. Racing stripes. Yeah, I could have done that. I could have put some racing stripes on it. Thing is, I didn't want to put too much time into it, because then it would have looked like I meant to. Flames. I feel like if we're going to call it the cursed NAS, there needs to be like a skull built into the top. I could reprint that with a big skull in the front or on the top. Anyway, RGB, you guys. Anyway, this guy right here on the side, which I want to like spend a minute to show you because it's important. This weird wishbone-esque sort of thing is my janky engineered way to keep the minis forum from moving around. It will go like just as an example here. So imagine that the Nav 9 Plus is at the top here. I'm going to go whoopity doop, bring that up here. So this guy is going to effectively go like this. Excuse this is intentionally inaccurate because I'm just doing this for the sake of show, right? And it will go basically like that. And so now the Nav 9 Plus will sit inside of this. The lid will still go on, and it'll add a bunch of additional rigidity to the box, which is awesome, right? Because if you think about it, the box is already going to be kind of wonky. And I have to, there's this stuff right here. Brandon, go back to the main screen, please. This, can you see that? This is glue, but it's not glue like normal people glue. I feel like no matter what I do, you guys will be like, oh, well, you could have done this. I should have put a poll. What kind of things would you like to see on a cursed NAS? AI. No one has put into the chat that they wanted to see AI on the NAS. So missed opportunity. You guys obviously don't work for modern marketing for businesses these days, because if it doesn't say AI, it's not going to sell. Anyway, so this stuff, this SIA fixed, this stuff is dangerous. It's meant for plastic, like 3D printed plastics. Doesn't matter what it is, and I've got it on my fingers before, and I partially bonded my finger to a piece of plastic. I was able to pull it off, but point being, this stuff is serious, and this is what I use for like these sort of things. So let me show you this over here. Back to the thank you. So this, after you get all this stuff, like you're like, okay, Rich, well, cool. This is this box. How does it go together? You're like, well, thank you, internet people, for asking. And I'll tell you, it goes together like this. This is, it looks like a little person, like a little robot. I made a robot. Oh yeah, ZimaCube already beat me. Everybody, dude, look at every NAS maker that's out there right now. If it's like, even like, I know that Ugreen's got a AI NAS, and who else is like, there's just a bunch of them. Anyway, this is the whole case blown apart and the tabs added. And all of these tabs, then, you can, we're playing the fantasy game here, but like once they're printed, they all stick together, and then you can fold them, and then in the inside, I'll put the glue. So this takes the longest time to do. And by the way, just so you see, because there's a hole in the back, and yeah, so my keystone thing, I'm really proud of this. I mean, it's super simple, but basically if we take this thing and we turn it vertical here. No, not that way. I want to go this way. Oh, I don't want that. I want give me the other thing. Thank you, Mr. Tinkercad. There it is. So there we go. So we can see as a better example here. But these are all the prints, right? And they're all 3 millimeters thick. And this guy here, it's got this like stepped thing because it inserts itself, but is backed by the case. And so it fits perfect. Put a little bit of glue around the top side, and then it holds my keystones just like magic, just magical. It's again, I'm so proud of this thing, and it's just the amount of human effort spent to do this is just like, this is ridiculous. If I would only use my powers for good instead of for wasting time. But anyway, so then I threw these on the 3D printer and printed them out. And it took a long time. Basically, the two sides print together, the top and the front and the back print together, and the tops are independent. And they're basically about 3 hours, 3.5 hours of print time. And it's done in PLA because, again, PLA is really forgiving, really simple, and it doesn't have a lot of the personality that you might get from something that's more of a hotter plastic. Anyway, let's look at it. I think it's time to look at it. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna move things around here, and then we're gonna do a little show and tell. And how many tops does it get? I don't know. It's whatever that CPU gets. You know, Adam, I actually thought about it. Adam asked, could laser cut for acrylic most of that? And the answer is yes. I absolutely could have. And I have a laser cutter that will do up to a half inch or quarter inch wood or acrylic. But I didn't want to, and I don't really have an answer why, other than for me, a lot of the 3D design I do tends to be very iterative. And it's because I have the luxury of just like, I don't want you guys to think I'm wasting like plastic. Like I just enjoy wasting plastic and filling up landfills full of plastic, because that's not it. I try to be like purposeful with it. I don't make like tchotchkes and garbage just because I want something that looks like things. But I was more concerned about making sure that my tabs were right and everything fit. And 3D printing this meant that, oh, if I lost it, at least I didn't burn up a piece of wood or a piece of acrylic. So you're right. It is much faster. The laser would have chopped these up in an instant because it's just super fast, and then I could just clean it up. And I might, if this ends up being something that like I want to be around, but then I have the issues of like fixing. Anyway. All right. Let me get this set up here real quick. All right. So this is going to be a little goofy, a little janky because I'm using my camera phone. All right. Brandon, if you would please swap over. Okay, here we go. Here it is as it stands right now. Brandon told me you need to be close to the mic while you talk, and I'm right. So again, this is the front of the case. You can see the drives, right? I can pop this out. They all slide out happily and easily. You can see them right there. And just as an aside, because I'm just super jazzed with this, just super. So I pull this guy out here, pull these out gently. If you can see inside of there are like these little eyelet holes that this array had for mounting. And that's where the inside is, and that's where the screw comes up. And so this thing is physically attached to the bottom. And it works. It's not, I'm wiggling this. You guys really can't tell, but I'm wiggling this thing. It ain't going anywhere. It's in there. It is permanently affixed to the bottom of that plastic. And I'm just super jazzed about that. So let me get this out a little bit here. Try to do one at a time. How about that? So I will show you more features of this in a second. If I just get these back in. Okay, so go back here. So the power supply. Power supply is permanently affixed with screws, right? They're right there. They're all good. This thing is not coming out. It's nice and solid in here. If I spin around the side here, we can see that nice big opening, purpose built just for the fan of this power supply, which is perfect, right? So it's going to bring in air from the front, blow it out the side, just like, ta-da, good stuff. And let's look inside, shall we? I'm going to pull the NAB9 out of the top. Okay, so again, I have a test piece here, but it's the wrong size. But just if you can imagine, this is going to go like this, right? This is going to sit around the NAB9, and it's going to come in front and connect to the front, and it's going to connect in the back there, and it's going to hold it in place. It's not going to go anywhere. Anyway, we'll pull the NAB9 out. All right. And here we go. So let's start over here in the left side. This is the RAID card. I removed the I don't want to call it the tang, but the mounting bracket for the case. And if you can see down here, there's a mounting screw there. It's mounted in a fix. There's one down there too. It's mounted fixed. This thing is not coming out, right? The RAID card is just sitting in the slot. I don't really have a good option. I could mount it against the case there, but at this point, I might want to use that RAID card for something else someday. So I'm just going to leave it as is. I have a fan grill on the front of this Noctua fan, and this uses the case as fan grill in the back. Why'd you do that, Rich? Because I fully intend to shove this full of cables, and I know those cables are going to smash up against those fan blades if I don't. So this is just there to give me everything that I need to protect those fan blades. And if you look back here, you can see, move my thing here. This thing is affixed. Down the bottom, I don't know if you guys can see this. Right down the bottom, let me pull this out of the way. All right, so there's a little screw right down here. And that little screw there is there to keep it from sliding back. Because remember, like I said, in the front, this thing kind of slides forward, and now it can't because there's a retention screw in the back to retain. And in the back here, we can see, without anything plugged in here, those are I got my, what's it called? HDMI, my two network connections, and that USB-C, and it's permanently affixed. And if we flip it around, roll around to the back here, it looks, I'm not going to say it looks professional, but it looks pretty damn good. Add zip holes, zip tie holes to the PCB. That's not a bad idea. Actually, it's not a bad idea. That can make that mount there. That's a good idea. Anyway, so I'm not going to say that this is professional, because there's nothing professional about this. They're keystones, for Christ's sake. But, you know, it looks good. It looks really good. In the back, look at that fan. It got the Noctua logo sitting straight up. Can you see that Noctua logo? How wise would it fit in the rack? That's a good question. Go ahead and switch back to main. Brandon, please. Cool. It is currently, geez, look at my numbers here. I can tell you real quick. If we go back to the browser. The maximum width of that case is 275 millimeters. That's what its width is. So, you know, if you do the math on that, let's just do it. 275 millimeter, 2 inches. Yes, I know it's 10. So it's 10.8 inches. How wide's the rack? It's probably a little bit too big. That's my guess. Yeah, there we go. So it's probably a little too big to fit in there, but that doesn't mean you couldn't actually make it work I still have a fair bit of space in this that I could probably compact things more. There's areas in it that I had to leave spacing because I just knew if I didn't, there'd be issues. The NAB9 Plus right here has this exhaust port where it blows out air that it sucks in for the heatsink for the CPU. And initially, my initial designs, I had that butted right up against the power supply. I'm like, nah, bud, that's not going to work. So I had to put a gap there so that air could evacuate out of there. So it's not exactly, like Geek of All Trades says, version 2, slim it down and add some mini ready rails to it. Make my own 3D printed ready rails. Square hole, if I'm going to be honest. If it's not square hole, it's not good. Am I right? Put your comments down below. Anyway, so this thing has just been consuming me, as you can see. And it's intended to be janky. It does work. I did tests on it. I did tests on it in terms of like testing its storage performance on the system. And of course, TrueNAS with an install TrueNAS on it. That's that thing, which this will all be in said video. But it does pretty good. I mean, it's not gonna beat out something that's bananas fast. It's also right now. I just have those. I'll pop them out here. Initially, I had debated putting some like high-end Dell SAS SSDs, 768 terabyte, but then I just opted to go with these cheapy. I had a bunch of these old Crucials. These Crucial drives, they're like $35 or $40 a piece for 500 gigs, and I use them in a vSAN a hand-built vSAN that I had, and my God, was that a nightmare. I'm still having a little bit of PTSD just thinking about all the times vSAN just threw up all over itself and said, I can't talk to the drives. The drives never failed. The drives weren't the problem. vSAN just didn't support consumer SSDs, as one would imagine. But I have a bunch of these, so that's what I'm using. And these things are, I mean, they're just so-so, right? At best, they're probably 300, maybe 400 megabytes a second in a sequential read-write scenario. So that's the best you're going to get out of it. Yes. Thank you, Brandon, for airing out my shame. It was a 2-node vSAN, which is supported, albeit a waste of storage performance because it's basically a mirror pair. No shame. No shame on that. I wanted to experiment with vSAN, and I only had 2 nodes, so I did it. And it worked about as you expect it would. That's for sure. So Geek of All Trades asks, is that a SAS or SATA backplane? It is. So it is both. And what I mean by both is like, of course, a SAS backplane is a SATA backplane. But like, no, actually 4 of the ports on this are SAS SATA and 2 of the ports are SATA only. And there is a mini SAS connector in the back. And I probably can't show you at this point because we talked about it last week, but see if we can get down there and see. So if you don't, this is gonna be hard to see, but if you look down there on top there, the white connectors are Molex connectors, and then below there you can see a mini SAS cable, and then there's 2 SATA connections as well. Lighting's terrible because it's inside of a box, but that's it. That's what it looks like, and it's made by Chenbro, bro. So I first time I've ever got anything. It was like a used thing off eBay. It was like, I can't remember how much I spent for it. We'll talk about it in the video. That's what we'll do. We'll talk about it in the video. That's my plan. But it works, and it works really well. And it's got blue LEDs. And when it starts up, the LEDs, when the RAID card initializes, it goes, and all the lights blink and sync with, so it's like checking the disk health. And I just love it. I love it so much. It's so, it's so ridiculous. And it's cursed, but it's not cursed in the way that I guess I thought. Like, I honestly thought, as an aside, putting this thing together, that when I said it was cursed, I assumed it meant that it was going to not work. Like, it's going to be cursed. Like, oh, this fails all the time. Let me tell you something. Technology, if you treat it well, even if it's like bare gear sitting out, it'll last pretty well. I mean, you don't want to shock it. You don't want to like manhandle it. But guys, I've had my grubby mitts all over all of this stuff. Right? I've torn apart the storage array because I need to make some physical changes to the actual cage to make it fit. There was chunks I had to take off, and which is, we'll talk about in the video. Here's a piece of it. Rivets are your friend. The RAID card itself, like, just manhandling the hell out of that thing. And it's just like, yes, I'll take it. Give me some more. I'm happy. And it's been super, super good. I just super jazzed about it. Yes, Adam, so here's the deal. There's a problem here that I cannot solve, and I'm not going to try to solve it because at a certain point it's diminishing returns. The NAV9 Plus power button is right in the front. So you turn that on, you press that button, and it automatically comes up. But the RAID array and the RAID card connected via Oculink aren't using system power. They're using the power supply power, the SFX power supply. And the reason being is because they require multi-volts. The downside about Oculink, whatever, is when you disconnect it, if it's on, the computer will crash because all you're doing is literally moving the PCI Express port itself out to another port. Like, that's all those cables are doing. They're just like, it's a really long run. So for this thing to work properly, Skylar, I was just about to talk about iOS here too. the point being is you have to turn on the power supply first. That's why the switch is up front. That's why it's up front, not in the back, because I could have done it in the back too. Power supply switch is up front so that the RAID card comes online and the array comes up and it's ready. And then you turn on the NAB9 and the OcuLink port works and everything's happy and it works fine. And you just have to do 2 power switches. It's cursed, right? It's cursed. What did you expect? But Skylar, you came in just at the right time, because the last thing I want to talk about is I myself have moved all of my stuff to iOS 26. Look, there's a lot of people in this chat who are Apple fans. There's a lot of people in this chat who are Android fans. I think that I'm a superior, but we all basically are just using the same apps and just a different platform to do it on. I have some thoughts about iOS 26, and I will say, the first thing I'll say about it is good news is if you are an Apple user and you like to rotate the phone. Thanks, Brandon put a bunch of notes in my thing I missed that said rotate phone. Sorry. Oh God, I need a little thing that pops up on the screen. This has been the most stable initial beta that I have jumped on for iOS, which is a surprise because iOS 18, there were a whole bunch of problems I had with iOS 18. iOS 18 just chewed through battery. It didn't care. It's like, oh, what's battery? And it would just like in half a day, I'd be down to like 25% on a brand new phone. And I know, Eric, going the Pixel Fold is beautiful. I'm waiting for the Apple foldable will be the phone to end all phones. That's how I see it. And at that point, we can all just get behind the superior platform. Anyway, iOS 26 for me so far has been really solid in terms of reliability. I haven't had any crashes, literally any crashes. I have no app incompatibility so far. I've noticed a lot of the apps are already ahead of the game and already prepared. And yeah, that's right. Jason, you have a good point. Jason said, 18 has been buggy since day one. I think that is probably the truest thing said about iOS 18, because even to this day, it's, it's been, welcome back, AMD Sky. I turned it off. Aragon said the iOS battery drain is onboard AI stuff. I turned all that, even in this one, I turned it all off. I do not want any of that because it's not good. It's just Apple's AI stuff is horrific. But the last thing I will say about it is so far, and maybe this is why 26 has been so stable for me overall, is that it feels more like a UI skin upgrade than it does actually a quantitatively better or different operating system. The liquid glass thing so far is super gimmicky, and it kind of feels, you guys remember early KDE? Like back in the day, K desktop environment, there was always like the really, who was that? I would think it was one of the people in the Discord last week or 2 weeks ago called them lickable icons. They just like, they look like they're see-through candy. And what did it say? Everyone said the toggle is a placebo. It has nothing that, well, we'll see about that. The GUI, basically the liquid, the liquid glass just feels like a kind of like a gimmick. Like this is not like for Apple. And again, I'm a fan of Apple. I'm not here to crap all over Apple because I've got some sort of agenda pro Android or anything like that. Everything I do in terms of YouTube content creation is done on Mac OS, and I'm a big fan of Apple products, but it just doesn't feel like there's a reason for it. Like they could have just made a skin for iOS 18, and maybe really that's what this is. But so Skylar said you kind of missed the iOS 6 look, to be honest, and that's just me. Yeah. But I would be really interested to know what you guys think of the, other than Skylar in the chat, is anyone else an Apple user who's tried? Because I'm not sure where we're at in the world of like, how many people are out there who are like me, who are like, I can live with a really janky operating system on my phone. It's mine. I bought it. I like new things. I like to be first. So one of those deals that I'm going to withhold my opinions until it's actually released. But as of right now, like the other thing it does And I'm sure that, I wish I could show you guys this, but like the icons just go, woo, they move a little bit, just a little bit of wiggle. And that's neat, I guess. How much battery does that take? I want to know, but, yeah, absolutely. Game over, Dave. I like stability, says the guy running Cadence. Yeah. You probably like stability after it's set up, but getting there, you like a challenge. I think that's what it is. You and Leavix both just like a challenge. But jury's still out for me. iOS 26, if you want to try it, I think that it's safe to install it for the most part. I mean, it's a beta, so I'm not here to tell you that it's production stable, so don't do that. And but otherwise, it's but I will say on the iPad, a while back, a long time ago, when the M1 iPad came out, I bought the big M1 iPad. I thought to myself when that thing came out, it's like, what a waste. I've got this M1, basically the same chip that's in my laptop that I make videos on YouTube and do all this stuff on, is in this iPad, and all I can do is watch videos and browse the internet and watch Plex. So like, this is just a waste. I think the big deal is not for on the phones. It turned my iPad into a little computer. Like, there's mouse support, and I can drag windows, and all the windows are floating. It's literally, it's like iOS, pretty much, or not iOS, excuse me, but Mac OS, in terms of like, you have a bunch of just freedom to move things around and have multiple tabs open or multiple windows open. I had Instagram open, floating, and I could resize it down really small. I had just, that's where it's at. This is gimmicky because it's all colors and see-through and lickable icons, but the iPad, that's the game changer for me. I'm telling you, Jason said iPad Pros need to dual boot iOS and Mac OS. What they're doing with 26 is basically Mac OS Lite. It's really, yeah. What's a computer? No, really, what is a computer? Can someone tell me? And Skylar, I've used Final Cut Pro on the iPad, but I don't have a need for the whole, the functions of that seem very limited compared to what I can do in actual Final Cut Pro and all my plugins and filters and all that kind of transitions, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So said, what is a computer? No, really, what is it? Can someone tell me? Anyway, guys, I was going to tell you something. Brandon and I we were talking about the show ahead of time, and I was like, dude, I don't know if I have enough to talk about in this week, but I did. It's about that time. So we're gonna bring this to a close. Like I said at the top of the hour, at the beginning of the show, join our Discord. If you're not in the Discord, get on the Discord. You can hang out and talk to us afterwards. Again, it's totally free. There's no hidden costs. I'm not trying to take money from you guys, at least not in this. And Windows Phone, yeah, I don't even want to talk about Windows Phone. I'm not a fan. Was not a fan. Join our Discord. If you're seeing us for the first time, do the thing. Click on the subscribe button, and that's makes us keep going. See you guys in Discord. And if I don't see you in Discord, we'll see you next week. Look for the FrankenNAS, because I'm proud of it. And thank you guys. We will see you soon. I'm going to go over here and click the end stream now. Thanks, guys.